Alright, I'm gonna lead everyone to do a very fast 5 minutes exercise of how to blend the colors and a little bit about color wheel. So let's have a paper ready. This is a watercolor paper. It's a little bit thicker and it doesn't the water doesn't absorb through the paper that easily like the printing paper. So it's better to use a watercolor paper or the thicker paper that you have at home. And then of course we will need some water and some paint, watercolor paint, and we will also need a few pieces of tissue here. So first I'm going to use my brush and I'm going to wet my paper, at least most of my paper. I'm going to leave the side dry, so I'm just going to put clear water. It's going to be very difficult for you to see where my water is, but you will start to see my paper start curling up. That's because the water is sitting on top of the paper, expanding it. That's why the paper is curling up now. Alright, so this is my water. Maybe I can try to show you the glare. Okay, so you can see the glare from the light in my room. Now I'm going to start to draw or paint 6 colors on here. First one, I'm going to use the lightest one, the yellow. I'm going to put it at the top here. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Remember, first you dip water and then dip into the paint and then you start painting. So yellow. Next one, I'm going to use a little bit of orange onto the top right. And then we have a little bit blending with the yellow here. And then I'm going to use red next, the bottom right. Okay, it's okay that they're not like super blending into each other yet. Now I'm going to wash my brush. These are the warm colors. So I'm going to wash my brush and switch to the cool colors. I'm going to start with the green. A little bit of this onto the top left. And then I'm going to use the purple. Wow, look at the colors. Beautiful, right? I overdid the purple a little bit. Now I'm going to use some clear water and drip it in the center. Just 3 drips. And you can still start to see the colors already blending into each other. All right. Now, because like I said, I'm using a watercolor paper, it will blend a little bit easier than, let's say, a printing paper. However, printing paper, they do blend as well, as long as you are putting enough water and pigments on there. So you can see how that they all blend together. Now, this is the color wheel, of course. We start from yellow, orange to red, and then we will have purple, blue, and green. And the 3 primary colors are the yellow, red, and blue. And of course, if you mix yellow and red together, you will get orange. If you mix red and blue together, you will get purple. And lastly, if you mix yellow and blue together, you will get green. Today, we're not using the primaries to mix the secondary colors, which are the orange, green, and purple. I'm just showing you how the color will blend together like this. But of course, I also like to add a little bit extra in the center, as we are really trying to see how the colors are blending into each other, and we're trying to put a pattern inside to create a little bit more meaningful picture here. I'm just going to let the water mix a little bit more in the center by rotating my paper like this. You can see how that the pigments or the water move around in the center, and you can also tell, or you can also see how the colors are mixing into each other and the kind of colors that you're creating in the center. All right, once the water is a little bit set on the outside, I know that the pigments is being absorbed into the paper and is already drying up a little bit. I'm going to grab my tissue here, roll it into a kind of like a little pointy end. Okay, a pointy end. And then I'm going to draw a cross in the center. So you're gonna use a little pressure, and then you're gonna press it down and then drag across first. As you can see, as I drag across, I'm picking up the pigments and making that part dry. And you can see how that the tissue is kind of dirty now. Do not use the same part because it's already dirty. So I'm going to change to a different part. So I'm going to roll it inward. Okay, or you can just grab a new piece of tissue, that's okay too. All right, and then I'm going to go from the top and press it down slowly as I'm picking up the pigments. Wow, look at that. Isn't this beautiful? Now, of course, we can still move this around. Okay, and be careful though, if there's like too much water, it will go back into the cross. But if you're very careful and trying to go around the cross, you can see how that the puddle of water just try to move around the cross. And this is what I want to create. So that around the cross, there's like a little bit darker colors around there. It takes a little bit of patience to really get the water to go into the places that you want. All right, and you can also fold it a little bit so that you control where the water is moving toward. Okay, there you go. I want to get into that corner there. Good. And then going into the bottom corner. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna let it sit here and let it dry. So I'll keep it here. It seems like it's almost dry. As you can see here, is close. It's still a little wet in the center there, but it's dry enough that is the water is not moving even if I'm tilting the paper anymore. So as you can see here, the center is a little bit darker, which is good. It is what I want, to have the middle part stand out a little bit more. However, I did another one a little bit earlier. It's a little bit lighter with less water, and as you can see here, the cross is a little bit more obvious, a little bit more clean in the center there. So this one is with less water, but at the same time it has less pigment too. You can see that the color is a little bit more fainted on this one here. I'm going to put it side by side so you can compare them. Well, it depends on what kind of effects and colors you like. So there are two examples here. And I'm also trying another one. I just did it while I wait for this one. It's with regular paper. I just did it with some scrap paper. As you can see, I can still see the cross in the center, and it's still a little bit wet on this one here. And it does work. However, of course, the paper is a little bit more curly because it's very thin, but it does work as well. Of course, the best result is still with watercolor paper, as you can see here. All right, it's a little bit more experimental today, the artwork, but I still hope you like it, and let me know what you think. All right, see you next time. Bye.